It's a beautiful day here in Wisconsin today, and it is going to be our first day starting to get the beds planted. And right now Jason's just kind of throwing a little bit on top to amend the soil. It's a mixture of compost and topsoil, and the reason why it's not just solid compost is because we have to actually fill them quite a bit. And then we're actually going to go ahead and mix in some of my favorite professional growing mix by Jolly Gardener, just a little bit, because we like to intermix flowers amongst all of our vegetables, and that just really helps their growth. So that's what we're working on right now, and after that then we'll start planting.
So just a little tip about the garden design. We've had a lot of people ask about the raised bed configuration. So what we did is we left enough room between the boxes so that we could fit the Ranger. Instead of bringing wheelbarrows, we can fill the whole back with dirt. And then if we need to, wheelbarrows down these aisles here. So, a little tip.
Yep, it's really nice, makes it easy and accessible.
Back to more.
All right, I'm gonna get the potting soil in, and then I'm going to actually start planting the herb garden right here. This is our herb garden every year. I love having the smell of fresh herbs even throughout our sitting area over here. We plant our herbs here every year, that way some can return for us. Right here we've got some lemon balm. That smells so amazing. And over here we have the anise, which also smells amazing, and right there as well. And over here we have our mint, which we just in the last video showed how we dug out underneath to control it, but then we leave part of it for the season to enjoy. And this year we're going to move the railroad ties that divides this area. You see some goodies, girls?
Yeah. Look at this guy.
Yep. So the only reason why we had these railroad ties here is because when we first started the garden, we had just this section, a driveway, and then just bare ground over there, and it wasn't soil that was easy to grow, and that's why we ended up doing raised beds over here too. But now I think it's time to get rid of these, so we're kind of, you know, making it all one rather than two divided sections, and eventually we'll tie them both in the middle, but we need this driveway right now to continue growing the garden farm. That way large trucks can get through and continue to grow all in back there as well.
So what are we doing here, hon?
I'm just mixing the fresh layer of compost and garden mixture with the Jolly Gardener. So I do just about a half bag, maybe just a little bit more throughout each bed, just because they're so large. But underneath there's a lot of the good garden mixture, so I'm just trying to kind of intermix those a little bit, and then it just lightens up the soil for the flowers. That way it's not so heavy, and everything just grows so well that way. We've been doing this for years. And,
yeah, it does work great.
We don't fix a mixture that isn't broken. Alright girls, this is how we mix. We go swoop underneath, swoop, and then flip, whoop, and then beat. And it's mixed. There you go. Now we're all done mixing it, so this looks super good, perfect. Look at that, it's amazing.
Do you remember my name? My name is Butter, and my name is Hop, and my name is Lady. Aw, that's cute. Okay, let's go fly off. You're stinging me. This is what you get. I didn't sting you. Well, you must have done that on purpose when you weren't looking. Okay, we must fly off and jump, but I can't do all those things too. What?
I finally got one bed planted. It took a long time. Now we're going to go through every single little variety and placement here and just kind of share with you what the designs are in here, so that way you know what to expect as it grows in this season. Because this bed is so close to the windows where we sit inside and enjoy the gardens from inside, we like to add just a few extra flowers in color to the ends of the beds on the sides. So on the end cap here, we have the nasturtium trailing down the side so it can get nice and bushy, along with some beautiful colorful snapdragons, some lime basil. We have a millet grass because this brings in all the little birds like the little finches, and they go ahead and land on it once that millet grass seeds out beautifully. It's a really nice little bird attractor for us to view from inside because we're bird nerds and we do a lot to attract the birds to the garden. And then over here we've got the verbena imagination, so just a nice little feathery texture with some purple flowers to enjoy from the house. And we've got some basil here. I put a flowering kale here, so that way once everything grows, it's gonna push it off the side, and then you'll end up having like a flowering kale trailing kind of off the side. Not trailing, but growing off of it. And then we added some Victoria Blue Salvia. So this is where the pattern starts, is right here, and then it goes in this pattern all the way down. So the pattern we're doing are with the Dreamland zinnias, and we place them kind of on the sides like this, and put an herb right in the middle, and that's the spicy bush basil. And then right in the middle then we did a taller herb like the sage, and then over here we did another trailing herb, the thyme. So as you can see, it's like a pattern, so when it comes into blossom and really fills in, you'll have these flowers kind of in this cool pattern, and we kind of follow that pattern right to here as well. So we kind of do like some fill-ins with more herbs, and then we have the pattern again, more herbs, and the pattern again. And then after we planted our herbs, we went ahead then and kind of just stuffed in the little areas that we had open with, you know, a couple coleus. We took tons of coleus cuttings, so we have a lot of those with some of our snapdragons and flowering kales over there. Along with, you know, always more herbs. Verbena bonariensis, so that way that can get nice and tall with that beautiful flower. It's a great beneficial bug attractor. So all kinds of different herbs, you know, with the curled leaf parsley, the fennel, the oregano, the chives, lemon basil. So there's just everything in here that you need, but we also just mix those flowers in there. But I just really wanted to share that pattern with you guys, and we're gonna also continue to share the updates on these beds as the season goes on. And then right on this end, we wanted to add just a few more flowers to enjoy. So we did the nasturtiums trailing down, which are also edible, and we still have our mint here in the bed that we kind of controlled, that came back from last season, and with some pretty cinnamon basil. What I like about the cinnamon basil is that when it seeds out, it gets really dark by the seeds here, and the whole stem's dark with these light green leaves, so it's very showy on top of smelling really good. And then we also added a salvia on the end for the hummingbirds. The next bed we're gonna plant up is this one right next to the herb garden, and we designed our home specifically because we knew that we were gonna have our garden space right out those windows here. And I wanna always add flowers in here so it's very appealing. That way it attracts some bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, little different varieties like that for right in here, so that way we can watch the nature from inside of the house too. So since our windows are right there on the house, we are going to make an end cap over here of flowers. And what I mean by end cap is just the end of it here. So I'm still going to have a sun sugar tomato, which is a small cherry tomato, but it's a golden, really sweet one. It's Jason's favorite. And then we're gonna have flowers behind it. So I did different varieties of salvias because they attract hummingbirds and bees. So I wanted to create an area where we're gonna see a lot going on along with the Victoria Blue Salvia. And then behind that, I'm gonna go ahead and seed some dill so we get a taller height, and it'll be the bouquet dill, so it's not gonna be too large. And then we'll see what we'll do from there. So right here is where I'm gonna seed up the dill. dill doesn't like a lot of coverage, so I go ahead and make sure it's nice and flat there. And then I go ahead and just kind of make a little circular motion where I'm going to seed it. So you're not really doing a hole, more so just like an indent in the soil. And then I'm going to sprinkle my seed in this whole little area so it creates a nice thick bundle coming up behind these salvia skyscrapers right here. Lightly dust the seed all throughout. So I seed it just a little thicker so it's a nice thick bundle when it comes up. Okay, once I'm done with that, then I just go ahead and lightly just toss it kind of over. Just kind of dust that soil over a little bit, but not too much. But at least just protects it from any of our winds, any of our heavy rains that we get. And then I just lightly pat it in so it sets it into the soil that's there. It'll pop up and be gorgeous and add that additional height in the back. So that way you'll see this beautiful tomato pretty much coming to trail down, because we're not gonna go and use a tomato cage on that one. We don't want that to be higher than everything else. We want that to be the trailer. And then we've got the salvias, and then you'll have the beautiful dill right behind, feathery and blossoming in white. And then on the sides of that dill, I'm gonna go ahead and seed 2 small little batches of beans on each side. I know that you can put all your beans together, in some areas we do, but I really like separating them out into random spaces, because then we go on little bean hunts around the garden with the girls, and just makes it so fun and exciting. So I just go ahead and create a small little trench on each side of where I seeded the dill. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put 2 seeds every 4 inches. There we go, just like that. So only 3 little bundles here, and we'll do the same over here. And no, we do not separate them out once they start popping up. And then we just go ahead and lightly cover those seeds in there, and there we go. So you don't see anything, but this whole space here is seeded with dill and beans. While I'm working on raised beds, the rest of the crew is working on painting the kid coop.
Yep. And we're not the cleanest crew, that's for sure.
Look at all that mud. Sayla's dripping paint everywhere. The girls caught a bug with their bug catcher. Let's see. What's in there?
Centipede.
Yep, it's a centipede.
Let's go show Daddy.
Just don't shake it too much.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So it's cool because it magnifies it for the kids. But we will have to let it loose. I don't think there's any air in there. Yep, so then you just put the little thing back and then you let it loose and it can come out.
I'm gonna try putting it back in.
So now we can come into the little kid coop, which, by the way, we found a little crayfish arm earlier. We went on a little trip.
Touch it.
Yeah, well, hang on. We're gonna take a look and see if we can find that centipede that we just saw. Okay, so it is called a stone centipede. The stone centipede are common under rocks and boards and in rotting logs. Adults have 15 pairs of legs. Isn't that crazy? Wow.
Wait, was it?
Very cool, huh?
Kissy, 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 kissy. Mom's all done watering.
Yep, and planting this bed. So after the dill and beans,
There's nothing in the middle.
It's seeded. So there's beans and then dill.
What?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm so excited to have beans in the garden.
Are you? Yeah, me too. Well, we planted some broccoli over in here. So we did pretty much like a square and then placed a coleus in the middle. And these are all coleus that we winter saved from our garden last year. So they don't look great, but they're gonna definitely flourish now that they're in the garden. And then we went and did a whole square of cauliflower with the coleus in the middle, and that I will have to maintain and control so it doesn't take over too much because that's a very large coleus. And then over here we've got some more cauliflower, but this is the graffiti, so it's purple, it's a little different, unique. And then right on the end, instead of doing a full square on the end of the cauliflower graffiti, we then did a little end cap of some flowers off the side here. So we did a pretty canna, which we saved that from our garden last year. That's a South Pacific orange canna. And then these are also our own that we seeded of the Liberty Snapdragons from seed saving. And then we just threw some geraniums in front just for some extra little bright color there. From this view here, you can kind of see how pretty that little end cap will end up being, and everything's gonna fill in so gorgeously in this bed. And it'll be so pretty to watch it from the window. Well, it looks like that's all I'm gonna be able to get done today. We just delivered my mom's herb garden planter, and that took up quite a bit of time and she loved it. So we're gonna call it a day, and we'll continue again tomorrow with planting up more of our raised beds and sharing all of it with you. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Feel free to subscribe if you don't already do. And don't forget to hit that bell so you can hear when our next videos are out.